we're going to talk about the hatcheries. Oh, wait, I went backwards. Let's go forwards. There they are. Okay. So no egg operation can profitably hatch their own chicks. So these cage-free and free-range operations, they're not hatching their own chicks. They have to source their chicks from hatcheries, and then the chicks get shipped in the mail to the egg facilities. And, you know, in nature, of course, a chick would be hatched in a nest with a mother hen sitting dutifully on them. And, we hear of someone who's a human who's very mothering as a mother hen. Well, that's because chickens are so good as mothers, and they're so caring and compassionate with their children and their chicks. All of this is completely denied in animal agriculture. No chick is hatched in a nest, a warm nest. No mother hen ever gets to ever be a mother to her hens or to her chicks. No, they're born in metal machinery, metal drawers, and then thrown immediately into this factory world of conveyor belts and mechanized metal machinery and workers tossing them about like canned goods. It's a brutal, brutal place, these hatcheries. I interviewed a gentleman for my book who worked at one of these hatcheries. And the stories he told me, it was horrendous. There were birds that would get little chicks, day-old chicks that would get caught in the machinery and have their wings torn or their legs torn or, get lacerations and their insides were coming out, and they'd still be alive. And the workers would just toss them on the floor to suffer there all day because they didn't have time to kill them in any way. It's just brutal. And this is, a baby chick. This is a symbol in our world of gentleness and innocence. We see these baby chicks on Easter cards, and we coo and ooh, and isn't it wonderful? Yet by the millions, we are killing these babies in brutal, brutal ways. Over to the left is the sexing process. This is where the workers will rub between their legs, determine what sex it is. Males go in one chute, females go in the other. The reason for this, the females are, so there's two genetic strands now of chickens we have created. The egg layers for egg laying, and the broiler chickens that are raised for meat. The broiler chickens are full grown at about 5 weeks. They are genetically bred to get big quick so that they have little feed wasted on them and they can go to slaughter immediately. 5 weeks old. These chickens could live 15 years and they get 5 weeks of life. But the egg layer strand is genetically bred, of course, to lay eggs. And the males in that industry, or in that genetic strain, don't grow fast enough to be profitable for meat. They'd have to feed them for like 2 or 3 years feed, and it's just not economically cost effective. So they're basically garbage. They're garbage, and they're thrown away by the millions. These are newborn baby male chicks being thrown away outside an egg hatchery, where the ones on the bottom are suffocating under the weight of their brothers on top that are dying of dehydration, exposure. People have no idea when they're eating their omelet in the morning, or they're having quiche, or they're having egg in a muffin, that this is the kind of cruelty that they're contributing to. They have no idea. It's horrible. It's so, so, so sad. Another method of killing them is they will just run them down conveyor belts into maceration machines, basically like a huge blender that just blends them up alive, macerates them alive. And that will go for fertilizer and other products that they'll use that for. Just brutal, brutal, brutal industry. And of course, what we're talking about are these alternative labels. Well, guess what? Cage-free, free-range, it doesn't matter. They're sourcing all of their chicks from hatcheries like this. Okay, So this is when I was talking about the cage-free operation. This is kind of a typical cage-free operation. So they're out of the cages, sure, they're out of the cages. Does this look like a natural, good life for a chicken? No, absolutely not. And they're so crowded in there, no space of their own, and chickens, like any animal, like us, they kind of want their personal space. You don't like people being too close. You kind of want to have your space. They don't get that. Never. Always crowded in. It's maddening. And again, that pecking can happen where more dominant birds are pecking the others, and the others are not able to get away. That's why they debeak them. But it's still frightening. It's still really. It's hard to imagine how horrible it is. And so this is a cage-free operation. If the farmer wanted to go free range, let's say he wanted to go free range, all he would have to do is open a little door to a maybe 5 foot by 5 foot concrete patio that's so unappealing no bird would even want to go out there, and he can call that free range because now they have access to the outside. That's all it takes for them to have access to the outside. He could open that door for 5 minutes and he would still be awarded that label. These labels mean nothing. And just to talk about the regulation briefly, because people will ask me, well, isn't there any regulation on these labels? Well, no, actually, there's not. At this point, and I think this will change and shift eventually, but at this point, for all these labels we're talking about, cage-free, free-range, sustainable, humane, all a farmer has to do is fill out a form and send it into the regulatory agency, whether it be the USDA, the FDA, and they are awarded that label. Nobody's denied. Nobody comes to inspect the farm. They can say whatever they want. So there's very little regulation. The exception would be organic. Organic does have on-site inspection. There is a little more stringent regulation when it comes to organic. However, the emphasis is on the environmental issues. And not ethical. So what the organic regulations state is that the animal can't be fed organic feed and can't be given antibiotics or medications, and they have to have access to the outside. Now again, here's this loophole: access to the outside. That can just be an open door to a mud hole, outside this barn. So it doesn't necessarily mean that they're getting sunlight every day and they're out in the pasture. No, that's not what it means. So there's very, very, very little regulation on any of these labels. And then there are I get more into there's detail that I'm not getting into that's in my book, like certified humane. American Certified Humane is a humane certification that does come and inspect. But again, the regulations are so minimal. The requirements, the rules are so minimal. So it's all in my book if you want more detail.